Right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a whole bunch of good crypto news stuff for you today. And the first thing that I want to talk about is that Roger Ver quietly relinquishes his CEO role at Bitcoin.com. So he quietly moved positions within his flagship company, Bitcoin.com, formerly the CEO of Bitcoin.com, sometimes confused with the CEO of Bitcoin itself by newcomers, which is quite unfortunate. Ver is now listed on the site as the executive chairman. So what is kind of interesting about this is that a website has a CEO to begin with, which is kind of weird. I mean, I get it. There's a lot of websites, but there's like companies. It's usually like a company that has a website, and I don't know. See, Bitcoin.com doesn't really register to me as a company for the most part, more just like a website. It's sort of manipulative. We'll talk about that in just a second. A brief trip to the Wayback Machine reveals that Roger Ver was listed as Bitcoin.com CEO as recently as July 24th. You can see here in the picture, Roger Ver CEO, now Roger Ver is executive chairman, and Stefan Rust as now the CEO. Rust's LinkedIn indicates that he took over as CEO in July after serving as the company's global head of corporate and business development for 6 months. Ver's transition was first spotted by a Twitter user, so it seems that Roger Ver is no longer the CEO of Bitcoin.com. Did he finally exit scam B crash? Pretty good one. Did Roger Ver's messy history with Bitcoin exchanges play a role in the exit as a CEO? Well, exit as a CEO, I don't know, a little bit hypey, but Bitcoin.com planning to launch a full-blown cryptocurrency exchange in September at exchange.bitcoin.com. So Bitcoin.com is looking to make an exchange soon. I was reading up about that, and they mostly want to use Bitcoin Cash as the trading pair for most things, but reluctantly they will use some Bitcoin pairs as well. Oh no, Bitcoin pairs, geez. The company recently launched a Bitcoin Cash alternative to local Bitcoins, and Roger Ver went so far as to taunt President Trump when he attacked cryptocurrency in a tweet storm. It's unclear if these events are related, but what we do know is that Roger Ver once investigated Mt. Gox and published the following infamous video in defense of Mark Karpellis, even as the exchange was imploding and couldn't look at the camera because he was reading from a script. So good job on that one. But fair enough, it was a long time ago. Roger Ver recently escaped from the libel lawsuit that I talked about yesterday against Craig Wright, that was brought forth against him by Craig Wright because Roger Ver, among many, many others, was saying that he was a fraud, which is probably true because he can't seem to prove otherwise. CCN has reached out to Bitcoin.com for a comment. In doing so, we uncovered the following interesting screen. It says Bitcoin.com provides a suite of tools and services on top of Bitcoin network, but Bitcoin.com is not Bitcoin itself. Bitcoin is not a company, just like how the internet is not a company. Oh, so clever, Bitcoin.com. By clicking accept, you understand that Bitcoin.com can only help you with issues related to Bitcoin.com website and not any issues related to the Bitcoin network. Again, so misleading. Bitcoin.com is not Bitcoin. It's just a Bitcoin Cash website in itself. And then, you know, they have this tweet here. I like this tweet because it says, if you're buying BTC in 2019 because you think it is Bitcoin, you are being fooled. You were actually looking for Bitcoin Cash. Oh, I didn't realize I was. The peer-to-peer electronic cash system for online payments. Buy.bitcoin.com. And I like how he put in this tweet, and like, he put in red, highlighted some of these particular words that really have nothing to do with Bitcoin Cash, or they don't really actually prove his point at all. He just highlighted peer-to-peer electronic cash system as if Bitcoin isn't. I don't understand. And then online payments as if Bitcoin can't do that. I don't understand why these are just highlighted randomly. Commerce on the internet. And Bitcoin isn't. This is so confusing. Process electronic payments, non-reversible payments, as if he's trying to like make a point that Bitcoin Cash does these things better, or that Bitcoin doesn't do these things. I don't understand. But I made a video on why I thought Bitcoin Cash was a scam, and it was a long time ago, and I put a lot of the reasoning behind that in this video, and I don't expect you to watch it as it was a very long time ago. It was on December 22nd of 2017, right after the crash of Bitcoin, or during that crash, interestingly enough, I suppose, not ironically, but so it is. And there were some shady things with Bitcoin.com. So again, if you don't understand what Bitcoin.com is, a lot of newcomers might be like, hey, I want to know about Bitcoin, so I'm going to type in Bitcoin.com. Turns out you're going to get a Bitcoin Cash website, which is misleading in itself inherently, as all the articles, and it prompts you to buy Bitcoin Cash first. For a while there, they actually had buy Bitcoin, and then it said in parentheses BCH, meaning Bitcoin Cash, which you could click on and then misleadingly buy Bitcoin Cash while thinking it's Bitcoin. And then just below that, it says buy Bitcoin Core, in parentheses BTC. So again, somebody new to the industry would, accidentally click on Bitcoin being like, hey, all these people around me talking about Bitcoin say I should buy Bitcoin. I finally broke down and I'm going to buy Bitcoin today from Bitcoin.com. And of course they're going to click on Bitcoin. They might not know that the abbreviation or the moniker is BTC, and they click on BCH instead. And a lot of people were threatening a class action lawsuit against them, and that actually fell through. It really didn't go forward, but it was incredibly misleading. And, I think any kind of lawsuit would actually probably be successful in that regard, as that is just totally misleading. And they promptly removed that. It was about a month that lasted on there. And just something I kind of want to put on top of this, I suppose. And it really doesn't have anything to do with Roger Ver and this video necessarily. But this video was actually approached by Fullwell, and Fullwell is a production company from James Corden on The Late Late Show. If you guys actually ever watch that, I do not. But Fullwell Productions is basically James Corden's production studio that makes The Late Late Show and many documentaries and other things like that. And they were making this video, or this documentary, called Beyond Bitcoin. And Beyond Bitcoin, and actually it's really poorly worded title, because there is actually already a documentary called Beyond Bitcoin, and you could just YouTube that. So I don't know why they would name it the same exact thing, but they did. So we're actually talking about two different documentaries here. We're talking about the Fullwell documentary. And Beyond Bitcoin actually follows Roger Ver and a few others in the crypto industry in their exploits within the crypto industry. Not necessarily their manipulative exploits, but just their story. And you could see like trailers online of it. So it says Beyond Bitcoin coming soon. I think it was actually already made, and it was going to be only streamable on a particular platform. I don't even remember what it is anymore. But I was actually approached by Fullwell Studios once, and they sent me an email, and they said, hey, would you like to sign a waiver that we can use this video in the documentary? Now, I don't know what part of this video they are going to use in the documentary. I was not paid for that. Probably should have asked, but I didn't really care. I thought it would be pretty cool, regardless of being paid or not. I didn't really care. And I actually don't know if they are officially going to use it or not. They actually emailed me back one time and asked me if I had the original file, because the quality on YouTube, of course, is reduced, and they wanted a higher quality. So I don't know if they're actually going to use it, and I don't know exactly what portion they're going to use it, and it's probably just like 3/4 of a second, where I'm saying Bitcoin Cash is a scam and they're going to make me look stupid or something. Probably. I don't know. But, and just in case people were like, hey, you're full of it. No, not really. It says, please sign this document, Beyond Bitcoin Materials. This is just a screenshot of the email that I kept, and it says, you're requested by Simon Taylor to sign this document, Beyond Bitcoin Materials, and that was just to release my video to them so that I wouldn't sue them if I happened to see it in the documentary. So maybe one day I'll see myself for probably 3/4 of a second in a documentary and go, hey, that was me. Oh, I gotta pause it because that was me. Did anybody catch it? And they're like, no. I'm like, I gotta pause it. It's probably just, they're probably just gonna use it in like a real quick segment. Like it's just like, like the drama of like people calling Bitcoin Cash a scam and stuff like that. And when I call Bitcoin Cash a scam, it's not really a scam. It's just really manipulative, and it's more of like a functional scam, in that they're, you go to bitcoin.com to buy it. Well, you can buy it on exchanges as well, but bitcoin.com is their website, which is kind of scammy. I mean, you got to admit. And then when they had, buy Bitcoin and with parentheses Bitcoin Cash next to it, pretty scammy. And the whole idea. So I really don't hate Bitcoin Cash. Like, don't get me wrong, everybody. I don't really hate Bitcoin Cash. It has some functionalities that could be considered better than Bitcoin. I just think it was marketed very poorly. And now that's a 50-50, because 50-50, now playing devil's advocate, it was marketed very well because it's what, the fourth or fifth market cap coin at the moment. So obviously it was marketed pretty well in that regard. And yet on the other end of the old 50-50 devil's advocate, it was marketed very poorly because it was very manipulative, and it was called the real Bitcoin. And it's not the real Bitcoin, it's just a fork. And I don't mean to say just a fork. It could be more useful or less useful than Bitcoin. That's not really necessarily for me to decide for everybody. That's for everybody to decide for themselves. However, it's just a fork. It's not the real Bitcoin. It's a fork, in the way that Ethereum Classic is the real Ethereum, and Ethereum now that we know today is the fork of Ethereum, but everybody likes the fork better, and it had better developers. Congratulations. However, in this case, it just wasn't the case, and it didn't. I remember when it came out on Coinbase, it was this horrible ordeal, and the price spiked before it even hit on Coinbase, and then Coinbase like it locked when it first came on it, and the price shot up to thousands and thousands of dollars because nobody could sell it. They could only list it, and it was this huge fiasco. And it was like, well, if all the exchanges were like, well, if Bitcoin Cash overtakes the hash rate, it will take the Bitcoin moniker, the abbreviation of BTC. And everybody was throwing a hissy fit over that. And then Bitcoin would become XBT on every exchange, and Bitcoin Cash would be BTC. But it just wasn't the case. And it didn't receive the hash rate that Bitcoin did. It didn't receive the price that Bitcoin did. So it just didn't win. And there was a big fiasco over what abbreviation would win in the end, and it was Bitcoin, unsurprisingly. So moving on, so Bitcoin searches surpass stocks as economic skies darken. Again, I've been talking about this off and on my channel. What happens during a stock market recession, crash, depression, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to consider it. I know there's a difference between the recession and a depression, yada yada. But what happens to Bitcoin during that time? We don't know, because we've never seen Bitcoin come out of that. So Bitcoin actually came out of a crash. It was sort of, in the white papers, angry about the bankers and the whole housing crash and all the manipulation that went on, and the straight up illegal things that everybody did. And I think only one person actually went to prison for the whole stock market thing in 2008 in the housing crisis. Anyway, it sort of came from that. It was spawned from that, and directly said so by Satoshi in inadvertent ways, if you will. So it was right then where everything was sort of getting better in the whole world, and the U.S. and all around the world. The stock market went, exploded, in quantitative easing and yada yada. So what happens when the stock market crashes? Do people sell their stock for Bitcoin and make Bitcoin rise? If Bitcoin is rising during a stock market, crash, are people going to sell and lose a little bit of money and then just hop into Bitcoin and ride those gains up? Or are they just going to sell all their stocks so that they can pay their bills because there's a recession, a depression, what have you, and they're not going to have enough money to invest into Bitcoin? So that's a good question. But for the first time since late 2017, when, of course, the Bitcoin searches on Google were absolutely massive, for the first time, they have surpassed the of stocks. So for most of 2018, when Bitcoin and crypto were suffering during the bear market, searches for stocks were higher. But as Bitcoin began to rally in April and May this year, the trend flipped in the digital currency's favor. So we can see here, this red line is the searches for stocks, and the average is just way higher than Bitcoin, almost twice as high, maybe 30-40% higher. And the chart actually starts about August 5th, so you would see Bitcoin sort of much higher than that, especially at the end of 2017. But now we can see it start to randomly spike over that. And that's especially when Bitcoin gets over 10,000, 12,000, 13,000, when it was just a few weeks back. And that's a good thing. I mean, Google searches are an amazing thing. And that just means that there's a lot of people interested. And typically the people searching the term Bitcoin are people that are not into Bitcoin, not yet anyway, that are potential investors, because honestly, every day I don't search the term Bitcoin. Now, I might search like Bitcoin Reddit or cryptocurrency Reddit or like news sites or something like that into Google. However, I'm not just searching Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's going to bring up bitcoin.com and Wikipedia and how to buy Bitcoin and like videos on how to of Bitcoin and things like that. And those are mostly for beginners for the most part. And so that means a lot more people are interested. So for the week of June 23rd to 29th, Bitcoin eclipsed stocks with an interest of 100 compared to 58 for the traditional asset class. The average for the past month has also been in Bitcoin's territory with a score of 79 to 76. Geographically, the most stock searches originate in the US and Canada, and it's highly probable that people are searching for individual stocks rather than the general term. However, the trend could indicate a wider paradigm shift in interest for crypto assets as a vehicle of investment. So the idea, I mean, what happens in a crash? What happens in a recession? What happens when the stock market truly goes down? Does Bitcoin go down with it? And we're going to see one of these days, and I'm not saying that's anytime soon, and I'm not saying that's going to be a long time. It could be in a few weeks, it could be in a few years, but eventually we're going to see another crash. We're going to see another depression. The stock market and the investing world goes in waves, just like Bitcoin does, but we'll have to see what happens with that. So moving on, failure to launch the Ledger X controversy. So literally, yesterday I made a video, and in that video, I always do multiple news. In case you're new to the channel, I always talk, like one main topic and then several other news topics. And one of them was that Ledger X started up Bitcoin futures. Now, they're not, right? So like on one day they were like, hey, no, we got Bitcoin futures. Bitcoin futures. No, that's totally a thing. We got those now. And then the next day they're like, nah, Bitcoin futures? Nah, we don't have those, right? So on Thursday, Ledger CEO Paul Chow sent out a series of tweets explaining the current Ledger X controversy and his decision to sue the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. Good luck on that. For what he calls anti-competitive behavior. Chow alleges that the CFTC asked him to censor Ledger X's tweets. That kind of sounds like Elon Musk, where he's always talking about, the company and whatnot, and then get in trouble with the CFTC because he says, hey, we got like 100,000 Teslas we're just about to ship, even though it's totally public information, and they sue him because they want him to censor all that information. And he admitted that they did, but never again. This is a disaster for democracy. So they wanted to censor his tweets. He said, yeah, okay, I'll censor them. But now he says he's not going to do that anymore. The issue appears to have started on Wednesday when Ledger X announced that it had launched physically settled Bitcoin futures contracts. Them sousy Bitcoin futures contracts that were accessible to retail and institutional investors. Oh my God, he's so sure of it. No, we got those Bitcoin futures. Chow told the media not only are they delivered physically in the sense that our customers can get Bitcoin after the future expires, but they also could deposit Bitcoin to trade in the first place. Saucy Bitcoin futures, but just one more. Fast forward to Thursday, and Ledger X was forced to retract the statement. This statement, as the CFTC claims, it did not provide the derivatives clearing organization a DCO license to the firm. So no, we got those Bitcoin futures. Wake up in the morning, your alarm clock's going off, and it's gone. So Ledger X has requested that the CFTC amend its order of registration as a DCO, which limits Ledger X to clearing swaps to allow it to clear futures listed on its DCM. So I want to say that I just want to protect myself here. Hey, it wasn't fake news, it was real news. But then the news changed the next day, right? So hey, we got Bitcoin futures, and then it's gone, right? Insert South Park meme, and it's gone, right? Boy, that lasted a long time. Holy crap, less than 24 hours. Whew, those Bitcoin futures, they are just so hot. Bitcoin futures, so hot right now. So Bitcoin futures, physically settled Bitcoin futures, still a fairy tale. We got backed futures, fairy tale. Ledger X, fairy tale. And Ameritrade Bitcoin futures, fairy tale. Until it actually happens, until our dreams come true, until a star shoots overhead and we wish upon that star, and we go to bed with our palms up, just wishing upon that star, not telling anybody our wish, because then it won't come true. But we all know what that wish is. We all know what that wish is, for that fairy tale to come true. And it will. some year. Anyway, moving on to CoinMarketCap, $282 billion market cap. Things are moving up just a little bit. Who knows how long it'll last, though, because crypto, right? You don't need a reason. Is it going to go up $2,000 and stay there for a week and then dump $3,000? What's the reason? Crypto. So $10,400 Bitcoin. Everything is sort of in the green right now, except for that XRP curse. XRP is like what was the team, the baseball team that was cursed and they could never win a World Series? Was that the Yankees or something like that? There was that Yankees curse and they would always lose the World Series or something. That's kind of like XRP right now. I don't know why those two should go hand in hand and why I made that analogy, but crypto. So everything up pretty good at the moment. We'll have to see how long that's going to last. Nothing really too hypey in the crypto world right now that's really going to push it up. No Donald Trump tweets pushing it up. And then some people were like, no, that hurt Bitcoin. And some people are like, no, that helped Bitcoin. Nobody knows either way. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video. That helps me out a lot. My social media in the description below. Hope you all enjoyed it, and as usual, I will see you guys next time.